Welcome, everyone, to the NTI Sustainability Summit 2024. We're glad you're here, and I hope you're ready for an incredible lineup of industry experts, professionals, and technologists here today to share insights and real-world examples of how to drive sustainability in your business and your everyday work. Thank you to NTI for hosting and curating this event. Let's get started. My name is Marta Boushard. I lead Autodesk Sustainability Strategy for architecture, engineering, and construction. I've been at Autodesk for 2 years and have many more from professional practice. I'm a strategist and collaborator with Autodesk business and product teams to deliver sustainable solutions. And I'm really passionate to drive impact at scale for the built environment. Today, I'm going to kick us off to talk about how we can enable impact through design and make technology. I'll start with Autodesk's corporate vision around our industries and our customers for a better world designed and made for all. I'm going to talk about some sustainable transformations that we're seeing globally and call out some notable forces of change to the key industries that we serve. And I'll wrap up today with a summary of our industry challenges and opportunities that'll be further covered in later parts of today's Sustainability Summit, and hopefully highlight a few examples that drives home the opportunities we have today. Thanks again for joining. I'll start by introducing Autodesk and talk a bit about Autodesk's opportunity, strategy, and action toward making a positive impact in the world. I want to outline the opportunity we have to focus our customers, our industry, our tools, our resources, and even our own employees, but certainly all of you attending today, how we can drive towards a sustainable, resilient, and inclusive future. And through today's Sustainability Summit, we hope to elucidate actions we can all take with design and make technology and try to deliver on these opportunities. This is a key aspect of our company vision of a better world designed and made for all. There are major societal and environmental shifts that continue to remind us that the world demands new ways of working, living, designing, and certainly making things. For over the last year, we counted that there's 8 billion of us living here on the Earth, and by 2050, there will be 10 billion of us. This is unprecedented growth, nearly 30% in 30 years. So along with this growing population comes a demand for more energy and materials. We're anticipating a 50% increase in demand for energy. And with many, many people joining the middle class each day, there are more people who desire, deserve, and can afford more things. Things like cell phones and vehicles and abundant food, all of which require demand and access to more resources. Population growth means an increased demand for all this stuff and the energy and the materials required to make them. This explosion in demand is great for business, same for you perhaps, but it's not so great for the planet we depend on. So working out ways to help more people in more places enjoy the lifestyles we wish to have today, while also reducing the demand for resources, waste, and other environmental damage is critically important. And hopefully you'll see a business opportunity. It seems as though everywhere you turn, there's another extreme climate event. And this is relevant because the industries that we serve are contributors to carbon emissions and other environmental degradation issues. It's estimated that the built environment, for example, construction and operation of buildings, is associated with about 40% of total global CO2 emissions. And manufacturing contributes another 20%. The reduction of emissions in the ways we design, make, operate, and manage the things we create in the world can help curb this. In addition, some estimates say we'll need to spend $450 billion globally every year during the next decade, just to adapt our existing infrastructure to more frequent storm events, like heat waves, and even the risk of sea level rise. Reducing carbon emissions associated with our industries and adapting our built environment and industrial production to be more resilient and adaptable is critical and a business opportunity. A more digitized economy is having significant effects on the labor market. Technology is also helping us meet the demands of our growing population, particularly in industries like construction and manufacturing. There are already fewer skilled workers than are currently needed. And after the COVID-19 pandemic, we saw an acceleration in the use of digital tools, which requires new skills and capabilities within those industries. So while labor shortages are bad for industries and bad for our business, we recognize there's an acute need to support the workforce and the industries to adapt. We need manufacturing and construction professionals to be technology enabled and data fluent. So reducing the skills gap and labor challenges in our industries is another important demand and opportunity. In summary, Autodesk customers design and make the built world in which we all live. And how that built world is actually made and built has an impact on everything. So at Autodesk, we feel we're ideally suited to help innovators around the globe design and make the future that everyone wants to see. We serve three major industries: media and entertainment, design and manufacturing, and AEC. Today's summit is designed with a focus on the latter two industries. So I want to start by talking about some key sustainable transformations that we're seeing affect these industries globally. Sustainability isn't new, but it's time we acknowledge that it is no longer niche and no longer exclusive to specialized experts, nor is it something that someone else has to resolve. Transformations are now crossing borders, converging industries, and connecting stakeholders across value chains. So I talked about population, climate change, digitization. These represent both powerful challenges and opportunities for industries, consumers, and even investor demand. And these are all driving what we see our customers to find some new solutions. And the reason we know this is because we've done some research, and here's what we're hearing. 84% of Autodesk customers are prioritizing climate action as a top UN sustainability goal. 74% of AEC customers have made public commitments to sustainability, and that's up 26% in the past 3 years. And similarly, 73% of design and manufacturing customers have public commitments to sustainability, and that's also up 21% in the past 3 years. So the more we can help our customers solve these issues, the more we can add value to our business, society, and the world at large. Let's talk about regulatory pressures. These coming from the public sector are spurring action from customers around the globe. Geopolitical instability is driving a desire for energy independence. Additionally, decarbonization mandates are coming into effect on many levels, local, state, and international. Regulatory bodies and investors are demanding transparent, accurate sustainability reporting, and we're seeing this accelerate. In addition, more of our customers, maybe like you, are starting to align their strategy and growth with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, or the UN SDGs, showing a balanced approach to creating value for business and the world. Here's just a quick statistics on how you can see the percentage of Autodesk customers with these goals by UN SDG. In addition, we've shown a comparison of growth between a 3-year spread to show that almost all of this level of commitment is increasing. Now, I've mentioned business value. Increasingly, our customers are telling us that sustainability is driving their business value. And this is on so many dimensions. This includes winning more projects, acquiring more customers, and importantly, getting the best talent. You may be seeing this in your own firm and businesses. Employees are motivated, stay engaged, and are most productive at their firm when they're able to contribute to meaningful, sustainable work. And lastly, I want to add one more statistic, which is to say, one of the things we've published in our recent State of Design and Make report is that 79% of the leaders that we surveyed said that the future of growth of their company now depends on digital tools. Of course, sustainability is not exclusively dependent on digitalization, but digitalization makes sustainability so much easier. That's where we come in, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So, digitalization, really great buzzword, right? We hear a lot about that. In the last decade, it's been a huge transformation in technology. Data is growing exponentially. Between 2010 and 2020, global data generation went from 2 to 60 zettabytes. 1 zettabyte is a billion terabytes. Data is everywhere. Automation, connected processes, platforms connecting consumers and producers. Industry demands and expectations are being rapidly reshaped by data. Innovation and digital transformation has become more important than ever. And so this digital transformation paves the way for the new possible, empowering innovators everywhere to leverage automation, streamline work, and generate insights from all this exponentially increasing data. And this is exactly the opportunity for innovation across processes and supply chains and industries to create new paths to efficiency and sustainability. We really want to be there to help customers keep pace, transform their business, and we're working towards the Autodesk Design and Make platform, which today already meets these needs and tomorrow will meet even more. The realization of a unified design and make environment can accelerate this opportunity, provide customers with the support they need, and to coordinate and streamline all these processes, while also gaining insights from increasing numbers of stakeholders and all that data. We're going to continue to support industry workflows for architecture, engineering, and construction and operations, manufacturing, and media entertainment. This platform will connect data, enable opportunities, and advance that digital transformation. Okay, let's talk about some of these specific forces of change that we're seeing. And these are what's influencing actual solutions today. Across our industries, I want to highlight things that we're seeing in our current business strategy and where we think direction of solutions, technology, and the connected platform future will be. So 3 major forces of change I want to highlight today. First, carbon, a new currency, a currency for global sustainability, not only linked with the financial rise of ESG reporting and environmental reporting, but almost a common title that we're seeing in job descriptions and in business commits. Second, global regulations. They are demanding more increased disclosure and more reporting of greenhouse gas emissions. And lastly, decarbonization targets necessary to mitigate climate change are driving companies to rethink investment priorities and their development plans. Climate change is a global emergency and it goes beyond borders. The Paris Agreement, committed to by world leaders in 2015, established long-term goals to substantially reduce global greenhouse gas emissions and limit global temperature rise to 2 degrees Celsius, while pursuing efforts to limit further increases of another 1.5 degrees Celsius. So at COP21, this handshake agreement was put in place, and now we have a framework to provide financing and incentives to developing countries to mitigate climate change, strengthen resilience, and enhance many of our abilities to adapt to climate impacts. And it's influencing these corporate commitments and the regulatory policies. Let me highlight some of these here, because we're seeing really high corporate commitments. Businesses and corporations, customers, and folks like you are committing to environmental stewardship. The leaders of today publicly demonstrating their commitment to net zero, for example, this idea that we stop consuming and emitting greenhouse gas emissions into our atmosphere. And by way of transforming how we design, build, manufacture, and operate so that carbon footprints of our built environment and our manufacturing processes can head towards zero. Specifically on the AEC side, we're seeing a few policies, specifications, and legislation spur decarbonization, reflecting both a carrot and a stick approach. For example, in the United States, the Inflation Reduction Act, which is the largest investment in clean energy and decarbonization ever approved by the US Congress, it both incentivizes greenhouse gas emission reductions, but also funds regulatory agencies to tighten building codes. Additionally, and applicable across the built environment, there's a new framework for decarbonization, this specification called the PAS 2080, and it's a carbon management in buildings and infrastructure specification, currently an optional spec, but something that we think is going to continue to influence carbon management across AEC. And in Europe, the EU Green Deal is driving climate action in many ways. While it was spurred by the Paris Agreement to cut emissions by at least 55% in 2030, it also targets to achieve EU climate neutrality by 2050. It's a set of policy initiatives continuing to roll out by the European Commission, and it targets new legislation to address energy, building, industry, and mobility, among many other topics. And on the design and manufacturing side, I want to highlight a recent example, also spurred out of the EU Green Deal, for CBAM. Continually raising the bar, the European Union has created the Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, or CBAM, which basically puts a price on carbon-intensive goods and products. It was legislated with the EU Green Deal in order to tariff carbon-intensive products entering the EU. and essentially encourages cleaner industrial production in non-EU countries. This is also put in place to enable or to disable the undermining of the EU's climate objectives by importing improper materials and products. Let's talk about some challenges and opportunities. Today's summit and some of the other presenters today are going to showcase some of these examples as well. So at a high level, I want to introduce key challenges and opportunities of our industries and something we're seeing from our perspective. Okay, on the architecture, engineering, and construction side, as we integrate sustainability into business practices, these are some of the areas of highest value. The first, total carbon, the ability to calculate the carbon emissions associated with any given project, inclusive of energy consumption and the inputs and construction of the building, all accounting for the upfront predictive assumptions of that carbon footprint. Circularity, essentially the design and construction of a building with the intention to reuse those materials upon decommission or demolition at the end of its useful life. Industrialized construction, the incorporation of manufacturing techniques in the construction sector, but yields less rework and less waste on site. I also want to flag, again, the need to improve the resilience and efficiency of our existing infrastructure. This has never been stronger nor more important because of that increased frequency and severity of climatic events around the world. And we're generally aware of the new climate reporting requirements, again, many of which are being driven currently in the EU, and they're going to transform our sustainability reporting beyond financial to include carbon emissions and business risks. And lastly, the labor challenges we all face as digitization, aging workforces, distributed or remote teams are putting more pressure on our businesses and therefore demanding equitable access to green quality jobs. And now on the manufacturing side, again, challenges, hopefully you see them as opportunities. There's some overlap with the AEC industry, but I want to call out, there's energy management, material efficiency, and carbon intensity, as well as circularity and reuse, all of which are very important within the manufacturing and supply chains. And then on top of that, there's supply chain resilience. This is incredibly important coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic and the increasing stresses of geopolitical tensions, whether in Europe or across the globe. Traceability is not new to the manufacturing industry, but carbon tracking and reporting within that is. So while many companies see these issues as challenges, I hope you're already seeing them as opportunities and ways to differentiate your work and your business. What is technology if it's not a way to help achieve your goals? So I want to take a look into some impact in action. I'm going to give a couple examples of how you can combine technology with human innovation and showcase that impact in action. First, on the AEC side, in Oslo, Norway, there's been a transformation of the downtown area, starting with the Opera House. That transformation was led by Multiconsult, incorporating sustainable practices in the design and construction of the projects there. Through passive house standards, energy efficiency, and low carbon materials, they've been able to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions associated with this work by 50%. In Glasgow, climate change effects will be mitigated by clever planning and instrumentation of a digital water control system for the Scottish canals. Regulating the storage capacity of the canal with remote sensors and rainfall forecasts, the canal operations can now be optimized and managed in real time. And with smarter water management and controls, land area previously serving as floodlands and utterly worthless was released for redevelopment for the community. And because it's winter and maybe some of you are experiencing snow today, I want to highlight this manufacturing company who applied technology to engineer in more sustainable materials and engineer out unnecessary waste. Winder Alpine, who makes skis for outdoor enthusiasts, derives new ski materials from microalgae, reducing demand for fossil fuel-derived materials and reducing 2 pounds of landfill inputs per pound of manufactured ski. And lastly, one other story to share, using generative design technologies and optimizing for key design criteria in aerospace, Autodesk partnered with Airbus to develop a lightweight and strong interior cabin partition using additive manufacturing. For each single kilogram in weight reduced, jet fuel use is cut by 106 kilograms a year, helping to decrease the carbon footprint of air travel. This solution is approximately 30 kilos lighter than a standard partition, uses 95% less raw material, which in turn saves over 3,000 kilos of fuel and 166 metric tons of CO2 per year for every plane with this new part. So today, I've talked about macro pressures, forces of change, as well as our personal and business commitments and goals to do better. We, as technology creators and technology users, have an opportunity in front of us. We're well aware and well underway with initiatives, solutions, and projects that reduce carbon, recycle materials, and create resilient infrastructure, buildings, and products. In today's summit, you're going to hear from industry experts and other technologists who will showcase some of these tools for sustainability and more examples of projects that create impact. My ask of you all today is to see these examples as precedent for even more opportunity. You have the power to help your colleagues, clients, and customers to realize they can already use these tools to solve challenges around carbon, waste, energy, materials, resilience, and labor shortages. And together, we need to continue to build and create a powerful platform that makes it just as easy for every customer to design and make sustainably as it is to do unsustainably. With that, I hope you find great inspiration today and throughout the summit. Thank you to NTI again for putting together such an important program to drive impact. And thanks to all of you for your engagement and participation today.